All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Mekakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth. And Shalom to the hopeful elect, the Yakim and the Aquaf scattered around the four corners of the planet Earth. All right, that have returned to the obedience of the scriptures. All right, the Israelite foreigners of today's time, who are going to come back, all different, shades, complexions, skin tones, etc. But, specifically, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right, who are Israelites, according to the scriptures. Wanted to do a quick lesson with the brother Tasha. Got the beloved brother with me.
Shalom.
And I will entitle it, Let Not Your Heart Be Troubled. All right, let not your heart be troubled. And this is a part of, teaching. The scriptures say, I believe it's in Isaiah 40, speak comfortably to Jerusalem. I'll start right there, actually. Let me see. Because there is a balance to the truth coming out. There's a balance to this message. All right. And some, in certain scenarios, all right, when the spirit is on us, we're prophets of doom, because that's a part of the will of the Lord. But there's also, there is a spirit of peace that comes with coming into this thing, understanding that, the will of the Lord is going to be done regardless, and this, decrepit, demonic ass state that the planet Earth is in, especially here in America, all right, here in Babylon the Great, it can be, it could be depressing. It can have you in mental straits, so it's important to, like I quoted, speaking comfortably. I'll read this real quick. This is Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 1. It says, comfort ye, my people, saith Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. All right. And the primary way we get comfort in today's time is through the word. All right. And specifically the comforter, the Holy Spirit. All right. Which helps us understand the word. All right. Put together the prophecies. All right. Get the correct understanding. This is verse 2. It says, speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished and that her iniquity is pardoned, for she hath received of the Lord's hand double for all her sins. All right. And that's why we go into prophecy so much. All right. And specifically the downfall of America, because the downfall of America is the end of this hell. All right. And it's the beginning of the establishment of the kingdom of heaven on the planet Earth under Yahweh Shah. All right. And the house of David. You got a precept?
Well, Khan, and I just wanted to go in on your point, because at the end of Esau's kingdom, we're going to be in perfect peace. Mm-hmm. All right. So that means that we're not going to be toiling, with our hands. We're going to be in our rulership. Mm-hmm. All right. So that means that we're not going to want for anything, because we're going to have Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai on our side. Okay. And then I was going to pull this second Esdras 1 and 5, to go with the point that you just made.
Let's get it.
It says, go thy way and show my people their sinful deeds and their children, their wickedness, which they have done against me, that they may tell their children's children. Okay. And I pulled that because of the brother opened up how we are looking to be at peace, but we are also prophets of doom. All right, because our people have gone astray from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. They have chosen to go a whole different way, and now with them coming back to him, they have to come back in the proper mindset. So that's why I pulled that buckle shot.
Okay. I'm Psalms 46 and read this real quick. All right. And this actually goes right into what we're saying. This is Psalm 46 and 8. I'm going to read down to verse 10. It says, "Come, behold the works of the Lord, what desolations he made in the earth." All right. And that's the thing about destruction. All right. Everything has a balance. Everything has a flip side, to the coin. That's why when you read Ecclesiastes 3, all right, it goes into, a time to, break down, a time to build up, a time to plant, a time to pluck up,
that which is planted.
Mm-hmm.
So like you got it.
Basically showing the duality of everything. You know what I mean? Like when it talks about in the Apocrypha how the Lord created everything in twos. So let me read this verse again. Psalm 46 and 8, it says, "Come, behold the works of the Lord, what desolations he hath made in the earth." Right? And the desolation on the flip side of that coin, on the desolation is something new, a new beginning. And that's what's coming with, again, the destruction of America and this whole global system. It's going to be the beginning of the kingdom to come, the kingdom of Yahushua. All right. Verse 9, it says, "He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He breaketh the bow and cutteth the spear in sunder, and he burneth the chariot with fire." All right. And the Lord is going to destroy all these militaries, all their bases, their naval fleets, their nuclear arsenal. Everything's going to be destroyed ultimately. And the only power that's going to remain is going to be our power. All right. That's the end. That's the end game. And something, a quote that I always quote is, in order for there to be peace, there must be war. All right. So war has to come to the planet Earth. And that's why we see, everything building up, in the form of, man versus woman, children versus parents, nation versus nation, everything is at war with in one way or another under Esau's rulership.
And it's written about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's written about that in Matthew. It's written about that in Luke. So all that's going to come to pass is this whole nation is going to be uprooted down to the very first philosophy that they'd ever had.
Can I get one more verse? The point is in verse 10.
So like it.
You good. Psalm 46 and 10, and then you got it. It says, "Be still and know that I am Yahweh, or I am Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. I will be exalted among the heathen, and I will be exalted in the earth." All right, now I wanted to get this word "still." All right, because this word "still," Strong's H7503, it's rapah. Rapah, which means to sink, to relax, to let drop. All right, and then you go down Strong's definitions, some of the words that come up, it says to let alone, to stay. All right, to be still, to relax. All right, and this is why we're preparing. This is why we're doing the things that we're doing in the form of these videos, in the form of the work in general, the ministry. This is all a preparation process so that in that day, all right, we can have that stability, that the scriptures speak about, but that's the point I wanted to get on that. You got something?
I was going to pull that Second Ezra chapter 6, verse 27 and 28. It says, "For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for faith it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth which hath been so long without fruit shall be declared." We're building off the point that you just made, because Edom is going to be removed from the face of the earth, and that's duly needed. Yep. His whole hegemon is going to get deleted. Yep. So another kingdom can rise and take over.
Yep.
And that's going to be the elect. First is going to be Yahweh and Yahushua, King David, the 144,000, and the rest of the 1/3. Then it's going to be the 2/3 going to come back to the loins of the 1/3.
Yeah.
So it's going to have a continually, it's never ending.
Yeah.
But you got it.
Yeah. Can you read that again, Bob?
But do you want 8 or 27?
Could you read both?
It says, "For evil shall be," it's 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 27. It says, "For evil shall be put out,
Yep.
and deceit shall be quenched."
Yep.
Like a fire.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yep.
Verse 28, it says, "As for faith, it shall flourish.
Mm-hmm.
Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which hath been so long without fruit, shall be declared."
Yep. And that's the will of the Lord. That's the end game. And that's part of, and having that in mind, that's a great precept, because remembering that, keeping that at the forefront of your mind was going to bring us peace when all hell break loose. When everything go down and Esau make his move and shit looking weird out here,
yeah,
on the forefront of our mind is still going to be the end result. You know what I'm saying? Which is perfect peace on the planet Earth. That's what Yahweh Shem Yahushua has prepared.
And that's that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of that times.
Boom. I'll go ahead and read it.
So
because I had it pulled. This is and you can speak on it. Isaiah 33:6. It says, "And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation."
And that's the point right there. Wisdom and knowledge, that's all coming from Yahweh Bashim Yahshua's throne. That's all wisdom. Okay? Wisdom and knowledge, but shall be the stability of thy times. And read the last part of Salakia.
Yep. Isaiah 33:6. It says, "And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times, and strength of salvation."
And see, that's going to be the strength, of our salvation, because we're going to keep the words of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua to the bitter end. All right.
Yep.
That means no, it's okay. I'll go ahead and get the MOTV. Nah, man, it's rejecting everything carnal and keeping on your spiritual. But
yeah. You had a precept? Because I got some.
You got it.
This is 2 Timothy chapter 1 and verse 7. It says, "For Yahweh Bashim Yahushua hath not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind." All right. So again, you shouldn't be consumed, with thoughts of fear and doubt. All right, in these times. All right, which again is going to be more difficult as the time goes on. All right, because the Lord is getting ready to let go of those 4 winds. He's going to turn up the temperature. But really, it's all the flesh. It's the flesh. It's the carnal, aspect of you that is going to be really leading those thoughts. Mortal thoughts. That's why 2 Ezra 14:14. Let go from the mortal thoughts. All right, and that's why brothers have been pushing, fasting. Brothers have been pushing more prayer. Because that's how we tap into the spiritual side of things. Scriptures talk about walking in the spirit. What does that mean? Walking in the spirit means tapping into the spiritual things that Yahweh Bashim Yahushua gave us to use.
Because it's really these chains of darkness,
right?
All right, it's really sin that has you like in a chokehold. To keep having your mind dwell on things of this world. These emotions and of longing. Longing to be comfortable. All right, and if you ain't got anything,
I mean, you got it.
I was going to pull that Wisdom of Solomon 9.
Let me pull it up real quick. Let me read it for you.
9 and 14.
This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9 and verse 14. Can I start at verse 13, Baba Kashar? It says, "For what man is he that can know the counsel of the Most High? Or who can think what the will of the Lord is?"
And see, the only man that can think about what the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua is is a man of the elect. Okay, is a man that has stayed on the precepts. All right, that is continuously like in that Sirach chapter 39.
Yeah.
I believe.
Can I get this for you real quick? Can we go back to that? This is Isaiah 26:3. It says, "Thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee."
And that's the answer. That's the answer to the question.
Right. Right.
All right, because your mind is stayed upon Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. All right, you're not wondering, throughout this world to find comfort, but you got it. So
that word mind, when you get that word in the Hebrew, it's not actually la'ab. It's a different word. Strong's H3336, yatazar, and it says imagination, frame, form, framing, purpose, framework, conception. All right. So let's read that scripture again. I'm gonna read that again with that understanding of that word. This is Isaiah 26:3. It says, "Thou will keep him in perfect peace." All right, and being kept too. When it says keep, that's protection. When you get that word, it's natazar, which means to guard, to watch. All right. So remember what is it? Psalms 34 and 7. All right, how the angels are camped around those who fear him. All right. When you read a scripture like that, that doesn't mean that the angels are going to be, blasting, like Goku blasting, what I'm saying, your enemies. That may happen, but it also may mean that the Lord is just keeping you still. He's keeping you mentally composed.
Humble.
That's also the Lord sending angels, because again, angels are what? They're messengers.
And you're not popping off at everything that comes up. You can avoid, then lash out. I mean,
man, I forget about that one scripture where it talks about when it goes into furious men, or like people with anger problems, how they like in the times we're coming into now with prophecy. All right, we got civil war bubbling, race war bubbling. Man versus woman. If you are a hothead, or you don't have the ability to control your emotions,
you're not gonna make it.
You ain't gonna make it 2 seconds, dog. You out of there.
But go back to that.
Wisdom of Solomon 9.
No. What you just read. Talking about the mind, meaning the imagination.
Bet.
Because that's you're making your own construct in your head. And that was through your imagination. So, Baba Pusha.
Yep. Isaiah 26:3. It says, "Thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed upon thee," or on thee.
Yes. So, whose mind or imagination is stayed upon thee.
Yeah.
Okay. Because, so I could.
Let me read something.
No. It goes right into the Wisdom of Solomon 9.
Bet.
So you can go back to that Wisdom of Solomon 9 and 13.
This is Wisdom of Solomon 9 and 13. It says, For what man is he that can know the counsel of the Most High, or who can think what the will of the Lord is? For the thoughts of mortal men are miserable, and our devices are but uncertain."
See, the mindset of being in this flesh is miserable. Being always in the rat race, that's misery. But when you steadfast upon Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, you're in perfect peace. You continue.
It says, verse 14, it says, "For the thoughts of mortal men are miserable, and our devices are but uncertain. For the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthy tabernacle weigheth down the mind that museth upon many things."
So your spirit, the spirit is from Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, but your flesh is pushing down your soul,
Mhm.
but your spirit is uplifting your soul. So these chains of darkness are a weapon that's entangling us in this modern day life.
Yep.
It's what the scriptures breaking down.
Yep.
And then your mind muses. If you can look up that word muse,
Kind.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Paul spoke about that as well in Romans 8. That battle, that mental, that battle that takes place between the flesh and the spirit, or
yeah.
And that word muses. It's like and
it's really which one will you feed is the one that's going to win. You're either your spirit or your flesh.
Mm-hmm.
But you got it, Salaki.
Muse. Look up this. Salaki. The definition of the word muse. It says, be absorbed in thought, to say himself in a thoughtful manner.
See, to be absorbed in thought. Are you going to think more of the spirit of Yahweh Shemi Shai?
Right.
Or are you going to think more of your earthly woes? Like, oh, shit, I got to go pay this bill. I got to go do this over here. I can't mentally, hold it together.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're thinking of earthly things and this shit's trash.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep. There's more on that definition. Matter of fact, there's a lot of good stuff on that. It says in the thesaurus, says inspiration, creative influence, stimulus, stimulation.
And that goes into word imagination.
Right.
Yep. But there's two sides of the coin.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Are you imagining the things of the kingdom, or are you imagining the things of this world?
Mm-hmm.
Which one are you going to feed?
Yep.
But you got it.
Yep. Did you have anything else?
No, you got it.
Okay, Khan. Well, that was all the precepts that I had. So if you didn't have anything else,
well, we can continue going down because I think it has one more verse in Wisdom of Solomon 9.
Khan. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9 and verse 16. It says, and hardly do we guess aright at the things that are upon earth, and with labor do we find the things that are before us.
See, you muse on those things, but you hardly guess right. You don't know if it's going to be truly, is this going to be it? But in your mind, you don't know.
Yep.
So you're guessing. But in Yahweh Shemi Shai, he's precise. He already has the answer. We're just waiting upon him for all things.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yep. I got something we can close on. That's a beautiful point, man. Because that's why the scriptures, Proverbs 3 and 5.
Yeah.
Lean not on your own understanding, man.
But every word that comes out of Yahweh Shemi Shai, man.
Like we're gonna get to the point where when the scripture says, "Let go of mortal thoughts," that's gonna be like a real thing. That ain't gonna be just we reading that. That's gonna be like we're being tried.
Yeah, because we're gonna have to let go and let Yahweh Shemi Shai move.
Right.
All right, because we're not gonna have the right answer at the exact time. Mm-hmm. Only Yahweh Shemi Shai will, and by His will,
mm-hmm.
we will succeed.
Yep.
But you got it.
We can close with this. This is Jeremiah 17, 9 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
It says, the heart is deceitful above all things and desperately wicked. Who can know it?
Who can know it?
Only
Yahweh Shemi Shai can know your heart.
He's controlling he's controlling your perception of everything. Like a certain thing that you may go through, to people outside of you, they may be looking at it a certain way, but they really don't know because they ain't going through it. The Most High might change your perception. Like when Stephen was stoned, for example. We don't know. Yeah, he got stoned, but he might have been charged. Like he might have been feeling. We don't know.
He was on fire.
He was on fire.
He was on fire, bro. Like he saw you. How about Shimei Shai sit at the right hand?
Right.
He was like, man, fuck this shit.
Right.
Y'all niggas gonna get it. You know, shit. I'm about to go to be with my father. You know, hey, big bro, I'm about to come. You know, and hey, he took it like a G. Just like we need to be in that mindset as well, because this world ain't got shit for us to offer. You know what I mean? My bad.
Yeah, and then that makes me think about the other example. What was it in Maccabees? The woman with her sons.
Maccabees 2,
Mm-hmm.
2 and 7.
Yep, that's a good account too. You know, to go into that. But this is verse 10, and then we'll close it out. It says, "I, the Lord, search the heart. I try the reins, even to give every man according to his ways and according to the fruit of his doings."
See,
you know. So you got
it.
You know, that's the whole purpose of the trial. The Lord has been working on us. He's been feeding us, right? He's clothed us, gave us a brotherhood.
Yep. Gave us everything that we wanted. Because every man, and we have always desired this right here.
Mm-hmm.
No matter what we have to go through, because we're gonna have. Would you rather die for your how about Shimei Shai or this world?
Mm-hmm.
This world isn't worth it.
Mm-hmm.
But Salaki, bro, you got it.
Yep. No, you're good. I was just gonna say the purpose of everything that the Lord is doing at the end of the day is to see, you know, what
man you to be.
Right. What kind of man?
Yeah,
what kind of man you are. What the Lord made you. How like what you made of.
Yeah.
You know?
What's your anastrophe? Right. What's your mindset?
Right.
But you got
so Lord's willing. I just wanted to touch on, you know, a couple things. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Kakodash. Double honors again to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth. And shalom to the next lesson.
Shalom.